In Greek mythology, before the dawn of man and even before the rule of gods, it was the Titans who commanded the earth, sea, and stars under their leader Kronos, the father Time. It wasn't until the son of Kronos, Zeus, king of the gods, rebelled against the Titans that this all changed. Zeus, the other gods, and their allies fought a tremendous war against their predecessors and won. Afterwards, most of the Titans were cursed to the depths of Tartarus, but certain ones were given particular punishments. One of the Titans, Atlas, was condemned to the westernmost point on the earth to hold on his shoulders the weight of the sky and stars for eternity. Okay, I'm gonna change topics real fast, but I want you to remember this story. It'll come back up in just a second. Over 2,000 years ago, the Greeks thought the world looked like this. Kinda like an O with a T inside. Here was Europe, here was Africa, and here was Asia. Making up the T was the Nile River and the Tanais River, which today we'd call the Don River, and is way less impressive than the map makes it out to be. The body of the T was, of course then, the Mediterranean Sea. The O, which encompassed all land on Earth, was called Oceanus, after the Titan Oceanus, which later just became the ocean. There was no real distinction between the oceans, as to the Greeks there was just one. The earliest mention of the Atlantic Ocean as a separate entity by name came from an early poet named Stesichorus in the mid-6th century BCE. He called it the Atlantikoi Pelage, or the Atlantic Sea. His writings are poorly preserved and nondescript, so we're not going to talk any more about him. The next example of its usage came from Herodotus around 100 years later. Remember this guy? Yeah, well, he's given a lot of things their names, and he's sort of known as the father of history. I might make a whole video on him someday. Anyway, you see on his map that he started breaking up the ocean into smaller seas. In his writings, he refers to the most westward sea as the Atlantis Thalassa, or the Sea of Atlantis, and it's described as the sea beyond the pillars of Heracles. Heracles, by the way, was just the original Greek name for Hercules, and one story says he erected the two pillars to alleviate Atlas of his burden to hold the sky. But these pillars weren't just mythological, but in fact they were real-world landmarks. The European pillar is widely known today as the Rock of Gibraltar, and the African one, while disputed, is most likely Jebel Musa in Morocco, as they can both be seen while entering the Mediterranean through the narrow Strait of Gibraltar. It's interesting to note that what Herodotus labeled as the Sea of Atlantis was just the northern half of what we'd call the Atlantic Ocean, while the entire southern portion of the Atlantic received the larger and more general name of the Ethiopian Ocean. This name stuck around for some time, and you can even see it in maps up to the 19th century, but after that the Atlantic came to mean the entire body of water between the Old and New World. But okay, let's get back to the Sea of Atlantis. This breaks down further to basically mean the Sea of Atlas, that guy I talked about from the beginning of the video. Remember, he was said to be on the westernmost point of land, so anything beyond him was only ocean, so the waters there were attributed to him. Funnily enough, the term Atlantic wasn't first used for the ocean, but for these mountains in northwestern Africa where Atlas was said to be. They were referred to as the Atlantic Mountains. Today, they're just called the Atlas Mountains. The Sea of Atlantis fell into use though because it became too closely associated with the legendary sunken city of Atlantis, and so the name of the neighboring mountains sort of just came to mean the ocean there as well. So the Atlantic Ocean got its name from the mythological character Atlas, or at least that's how it was later deduced. But this is another instance of things being too old to really tell which came first, the name or the character. Theories on where the name Atlas originated from are spotty, but let's go into a few. The ancient Roman poet Virgil had the hobby of tracing etymologies, and he came to the conclusion that Atlas was derived from the word durus, meaning hard or enduring. Durus, durable. Get it? Which makes sense, you'd certainly call the guy holding up the sky enduring. Going back even further, the name Dorus was also attached to what we call the Atlas Mountains, suggesting the ancient people named Atlas after the land where they thought he was. Then his name would come to mean enduring, and eventually the meaning split, so Atlas became just a name, while Durus became an adjective. The last theory is that the name Atlas comes from the ancient Berber name for the Atlas Mountains, Adrar. This is the least supported of the three ideas, but nevertheless important to consider. But no matter what, the name seems to have its origins in the name for this mountain range. Either Durus, Dorus, or Adrar gave us Atlas, which yielded the Sea of Atlantis and the Atlantic Mountains. The legend of the lost city of Atlantis sorta killed the name Atlantis for anything else, so Atlantic was borrowed. Thanks for watching, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, why not give this video a like? If you want to learn the origin on the rest of the ocean's names, stick around and subscribe so you don't miss those. stars. And if you're curious about how the continents got their names, hey, I already did all those, and they're in this nice little playlist right here, so check those out now if you want. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, and I'll have another video coming soon. Thanks.